I will be analyzing Sherman Alexie's Indian education, starting with second grade.
In his opening line, Alexei refers to Betty Tolley as red-haired and ugly, expressing his resentment and dislike of the missionary teacher. Teachers can be a source of admiration and fond memories in students, but Tolley arguably had the opposite effect on Alexei with their callous racist behavior. Alexei reveals her ruthless attitude when he describes being confined to detention during recess for 14 consecutive days without explanation. The further he details her behavior towards him, the more evident it becomes that she held a grudge against him for being an intuitive Indian kid. In her view, Indians are not supposed to be intelligent or hard-working. More evidence of this is when Tolley forced him to take a junior high level spelling test, while his classmates took one more appropriate for their level of knowledge. Upon passing the test, she forces Alexei to eat the paper. It is clear from the rude behavior after he succeeds that Tolley hoped he would flunk so that she could confirm her prejudiced stereotypes of Indian students. It angers her that he did so well in the test because they are not supposed to be discerning or ambitious, especially not more than the white students. The purpose of Tolley's attacks is to shame him for who he is and his culture. She wants him to hate himself for having the audacity to be Indian in her presence. He mentions her telling him to say sorry for everything, even though he had done nothing in particular to warrant an apology. In reality, Tolley is telling Alexei to apologize for being Indian and being near her with his culture. She sees being Native American as so shameful that she should apologize, even when you have not done anything wrong. Tolley further illustrates her disdain for their culture when she sends Alexei home with a letter warning his parents to cut his braids off or keep him at home. Symbolic meaning and significance are attached to hair for many Native American cultures. As well as representing cultural identity, long hair depicts a cultural expectation of appearance within many Indian tribes. His white teacher's desire to cut them off illustrates white American expectations for appearance and how they are imposed on Native Americans to make them feel ashamed and disconnect them from their identity. Historically, Native American children have been forcibly removed from their families and stripped of their rich cultural practices to fit ethnocentric ideals of how people should live and look. In the end, Alexei says that his parents responded by dragging their braids across her desk, demonstrating their pride in their individuality and culture. Their actions also show resilience in the face of intolerance. Strength in the face of racism is a given in white America as a means of survival for people of color. She then replies to the statement with Indians, 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 which further demonstrates her discriminatory attitude. Through Alexei's struggle with Betty Tolley, we learn more about the brutality and unfairness Indian students faced when attempting to receive an education. Next, I will be discussing 8th grade. In the first passage, Alexei describes hearing girls discuss anorexia and bulimia in their washrooms in the 8th grade. As a result of fear of gaining weight, these girls avoid eating food. He compares this to life on the reserve where his mother had to wait in line for commodities and went home with canned beef that even the dogs would not eat. The fact that his mother lines up for things like food tells us his family is poor and cannot afford necessities. People living on the reserve most likely experience this kind of day-to-day hardship too. In one instance, Alexei tells a girl, "Give me your lunch if you're just going to throw it up." He says this because it is so difficult for those in the reserves to get decent food. He does not understand anorexia or bulimia. Moreover, Alexei's requests for their lunches show how desperate he is for a decent meal, which is more proof of his family's social-economic status. Alexei's statement, "There is more than one way to starve," means that while Indians on the reservations suffer from starvation and poverty, the affluent whites in the farm town where Alexei attends school are deprived of comfort and suffer too, just in different ways. Food is always associated with the verb starve. For us to survive, we must consume some nutrients. However, humans are more than just robots who live in a repetition of meeting our biological needs. The human body is a system composed of complex feelings, emotions, and thoughts. Food isn't enough to keep those parts working. We need love, support, and many other things. That was my analysis of Sherman Alexie's Indian Education.